William says that I can defend the existence of God with science. I hope so. I hope so, William. Don't let us down. Go ahead.
How you doing? How you doing today?
Hey, William.
First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes,
can
we
you
can.
Hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
First, I'd like to thank you for. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to present my evidence. Okay, I'm in the camp of God, so I'd like to start my conversation with you by acknowledging a few facts. Fact one: first, for the sake of scientific inquiry, as of now, there has been little scientific evidence for the existence of God. Do you not agree?
Well, no,
I would say there's none, but yeah. So I would say at the very least there's, or at the most there's little evidence, but I haven't seen any.
Okay.
So I think we can agree with that.
Okay. Fact two. Second, the scientific method is one of the tools scientists use to discern the truth about a particular phenomenon. Modeling, augmentation, and the relationship between science and engineering also help in discovery and assessment of a truth. Scientific method. Would you agree that that's a good tool to use to discern a truth in science?
The scientific method is the best tool that we have. We don't have anything that comes remotely close.
Okay, I will use the scientific method in this argument in terms of supporting God. Okay.
Okay.
So now there are basically 7 steps in the scientific method. The steps are observation, question, hypothesis, prediction, and then you have the other 2 is the test and iterate, and the 7 will be a conclusion. That's how I discern the scientific method. Okay.
Okay.
So
this is going in the right direction. I like this. Okay.
Okay. So step 1, observation, and this will talk about whether math was invented or if it's a spiritual concept, if we can look at it from that perspective. But again, step 1, observation. Math can deliver unbreakable truths, such as 2 + 2 will always equal 4. Step 2, question. Do math and divinity share common truth? Step 3, hypothesis.
Wait. Hold on. Question.
Question. Do math and divinity share a common truth?
Divinity? What is divinity?
That's my question. Divinity is the belief in God, the actions of God, the character of God himself. Okay? Do that in math. Is there a relationship?
Do math and God, I mean, we are trying to get to proving God, or else justifying God. I don't know why you have divinity here as if it's okay. I mean, I'm going to allow it for now to see where this is going. Okay, but go on.
Okay. Hypothesis. If God exists, my hypothesis says he should be found in the house of mathematics. In other words, we should be able to discover God in math.
Okay. What's your definition of God? What's your definition of God?
As I go through the scientific method, you will get a full understanding of my definition of God. If I may, just bear with me. Just bear with me for a moment, please. Step 4, prediction. This phrase, God's mind is man changing with God, is an equation. That's prediction.
Now, say that again. God's mind is man.
Say that again.
God's mind is man changing with God. This is an equation. This statement is an equation.
You're losing
statement
me.
about
God. So all right. So you're equating these 2 phrases: God's mind on one hand, and then man changing with God. Is that? So people, human beings, make up like the neurons of God's brain. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
No, this is who God is. His mind is he wants us to change with him. This is what I'm saying. The phrase, God's mind is man changing with God. So that's the equation.
Okay.
Now,
This is going.
So this is the breakdown of the equation. If God exists, his mind must be
not an
infinite.
equation.
i.e. infinity, okay? Mathematically, the symbol equal and the word is mean the same thing. 1 plus 2 equals 3.
Not necessarily. It's not necessarily the same thing, but close enough.
Well, I mean, in terms of the usage of it. Okay. Now, mathematically, 1 over x denotes a part of something. That something could be anything. So if I wanted to say a fraction of something, a fraction of a hand is a finger, I could mathematically show that as 1 over x, 1 over a finger, 1 finger. However you want to determine the image of a finger and the image of a hand, they go together. So you could say that a finger is part of the hand. You represent the finger as 1 over x, 1 over the hand.
I don't know what you're saying anymore. William, what is it that you're observing? What is it that you're observing, and how are you testing it?
Okay, let me just go to the basic, as opposed to going through the scientific method completely. I'll break it down a little bit better. As I stated, the equation, God's mind is man changing what God is an equation. That equation reads infinity equals 1 over x times delta plus 1. How does that break down?
Infinity equals 1 over x times what?
Times delta plus 1. Delta is the sum.
That doesn't really make a lot of sense, but.
Well, hear me out.
I'm here.
It makes a lot of sense because it describes. It makes a lot of sense because it describes exactly what a number is. There's never been a definition of a number until now. A number is a set in space that changes with space. This is why we can say you have 2 shoes, or you have 1 house, or you're 58 years old, or whatever the case may be when you're trying to describe something.
It's just a characteristic of things, right? There's a difference between 1 pebble and 2 pebbles. Is just a characteristic of matter in the universe, is that we can denote things, we can separate them, we can count them. And so that's what you're saying, right?
No, look at it from this way. Look at it from this space.
I'll try.
Let's just say you have 2 cups on the table. Okay. Now let's just claim the space. Excuse me?
We're getting so far away from the point of this discussion. William, can you first define what is God in your mind? What are you saying? What do you mean when you say God?
God is, well, in terms of who God is, he's creation of everything. He's all encompassing everything.
Well, we can examine that after you show that he exists, right? So we'll worry about what God is after you've made your proof.
I think we have to know what we're trying to prove before we look at it, because we need to see So God is an entity that is the creator of everything, and is it self-aware? Does it understand things? Is it a mind? Is it conscious?
Well, yeah, but we're leading. You're driving away from the math now. Yes, I would agree with all of that.
Before we look into your scientific evidence.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you, what is a number?
No. You answer my question. We have before we look at your scientific evidence for the existence of something, right? We need to know what we're even talking about. We might not even be on the same page. Are you saying that you're trying to prove or provide evidence for the existence of an entity that created the world and that it's aware, that is self-aware, that is conscious? Yes or no?
What I'm trying to suggest to you is
yes or no. That's a yes or no question.
Repeat the question.
Okay. When you say God, when William says God, is he talking about an entity that has created everything and that is conscious?
Yes. And let me say this. I'm in favor of the Big Bang. I don't disagree with the Big Bang. I don't disagree with any phenomena we see in science.
Well, good for you.
However,
so what is the observation because you want to start with observation. What is the observation that will get us to showing that such an entity exists?
Well, my observation looks at set theory from the perspective of what is a number. Okay, and so
how is a number? Okay, so now you're saying that when we understand what a number is, okay, that's not an observation, by the way. That's basically philosophizing. You know, you're talking about rationalism. When you were talking about science, we're within the realm of empiricism. If you want to talk about what do we mean by numbers, we're now talking logic and rationalism, right? So this is not empiricism anymore. We have exited the realm of science.
Can I render this argument? I asked you what is a number. Now I hope so. Definition of a number from the God equation is a number is a set in space that changes with space. Whenever you count, if you start to count in your mind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth, what you're actually doing is looking at sets. You start with 1, that changes to 2, then it changes to 3, and so forth. Your mind is the space that creation is happening. So what is happening in terms of a number in the physical is if you're able to.
So Scott explained right before we brought you up that with numbers, a man-made concept, is referring to something that exists within nature independent of human mind. So this is not the part of the, I mean, Scott, you could maybe explain this. Well, you should be explaining this. Why am I even talking?
Well, Scott, like I said before, number is just a property of the universe. Number is just a way of, it's just a property of stuff, of matter, of energy. It's a quantity of things. And so we can see the difference between 2 pebbles and 1 pebble. And so the way we represent that difference is by using, so this one is 2, this one is 1. It's not, you can represent numbers with sets. And that's, attempts have been made to develop a solid foundation of logic and math. And very often that's a way that it can begin. Is that what you're saying? So you want to start by, let's just define numbers as sets? And just the size of that set is representing the numbers. I don't see the connection to a God at this point.
I think what he's attempting to do is by showing how the role numbers play in human mind, right? And then bringing numbers as such an important part of nature itself, and because numbers have such an require our mind to categorize it or create space for it or whatever, then attribute a mind, maybe something like a mind existing for the nature itself, for it to be able, a framework for it to be able to have numbers within it, something like that. But here, but Scott, independent from the human mind, like let's say, because we had rocks, pebbles around before there was a mind in this universe, right? There were 3 pebbles and 2 pebbles, and the 3 pebbles were more than the 2 pebbles before humans existed to observe that 3 pebbles are more than 2 pebbles, right? Like that was a thing.
Yep.
Right. So this does not require humans to come and invent math for this to be part of reality. Correct.
Correct. Yep. So so like I said, it's just a property of objects, right? And so it doesn't matter if there's a person there observing it. We need to have a mind in order to be able to understand that there's a certain number of pebbles there, or to convey to somebody else information about those pebbles. That requires a mind. But certainly before there were any minds, there could certainly still be pebbles, right? Is that?
Yeah, so but when we're talking about numbers, William, we are referring to something that pre-existed. We're trying to use our own language or our own signs and symbols to point to something that pre-existed mind. So the numbers and mind don't actually necessarily go hand to hand with each other.
I can prove it using Cantor's diagonal method, diagonal correspondence. I spent 20 years involved in this research. So what I'm saying to you is true.
All right, Hello? Let's see it then. Then it should be easy for you to show it.
Okay, William. Okay, so you're talking.
Well,
you're
if you let me speak, well, you guys keep interrupting. You guys are so headstrong that your points are correct, and I'm trying to offer you a counter argument, and you won't allow it to happen.
William, do you want us to understand what you're saying? Do you want us to understand your argument?
Would you like for me to email my research? I can do that.
Do you want us to understand your argument? Yes or no? Do you want us to understand?
I'm trying. If you allow me to speak, you will. I promise you.
Well, if you're William, if you're speaking, and if
I may have gotten off on a bad.
Hey, William, let me clarify how this works. You say things, and to us, it makes no sense. If you continue going forward, then you are wasting your time because what you had said makes no sense to us. So we will have to interrupt you to clarify what the hell is being said here for this to be a constructive discussion. Do you not agree with that? Like, we need to clarify a whole bunch of things.
With an equation. Yes, you can. You want to discern the number 4, you could say 3 plus 1. Or you could say 16 divided by 4. Every number is an equation. That's one point.
Okay.
Also, every number is a measurement.
I have no idea what you're saying. Scott, do you understand what William is saying?
I don't think so. Every number is an equation is not something that's true. And numbers and
William,
equations are separate issues or separate things.
So William, even if what you're saying is close to the truth at all, the fact that you're talking to Scott is, you don't want me to call you a mathematician. What did you want me to call you, Scott? Like instead?
I prefer to call myself math literate and math savvy.
Okay, you're talking to a very math savvy person, William, and if he doesn't understand you, then either what you're saying is nonsense or you're not very good at explaining.
Okay, if I say give me 4 minus 2 shoes, aren't I asking you to give me 2 shoes?
Very good point.
Yes or no?
Very good point.
Yes.
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, every number is an equation. Also, in physical nature, every number is a set in space or a measurement. An observation, no matter whether you're seeing a color or you're listening to a song, whatever, it's a measurement.
No.
Okay? Every observation is a measurement.
Scott is telling you that Scott is saying no. Scott is telling you he's disagreeing with you. You're saying stuff that are not true.
Hello?
Scott is saying no. Scott is disagreeing with what you're saying.
I'm disagreeing with your statements here. You said every math is an equation, every number is an equation. I said no, it's not. Those are two different things.
Every number. Oh, give me a number that's not an equation. Any number,
1.
including imaginary numbers. I can prove you wrong.
Okay.
Give me
I doubt
any
it.
numbers that can come to your mind.
He said 1.
I said
William,
1.
He
1
said
is
1.
my number.
Scott said 1.
1 is your number?
1 is my number.
Yes.
What's 10 minus? What's 10 minus 9? What's 1
10
divided
minus
by
9
1?
equals
What's 1 times 1?
1 times 1 is
What's 1 squared?
1.
What's 1 squared? Okay, so I've just described 1 in many different equations.
So so numbers can be used in equations. 1. Is that what you meant?
That doesn't make 1 an equation.
No, what I'm saying to you is what I'm saying to you is because every number can be described by an equation, every number must be an equation.
No, that's not how we talk. Okay, William, you don't even understand basic math. We don't need that. Scott is an expert here, but this is like basic. You don't even understand basic level math. I could tell you. You wasted 20 years of your life on nonsense.
Sir, all I ask you to do is to give me any number that you can imagine that cannot be proven with an equation. That's all I ask.
Doesn't make any sense.
Just because the result of an equation can be 1, that doesn't make.
If you're saying a number can be represented by some other combination of numbers, I'll agree with that. Is that what you're saying?
It's not representation whatsoever. Okay, let's talk about George Cantor, the father of set theory. He stated that there were numbers.
I think not. I don't think we are. I don't think we're going to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to do that. Okay. I was so hopeful. Why?
I don't know.
I'm so naive, Scott.
On
so
behalf
naive.
of the
He's so-
entire mathematical education industry, I just want to apologize. There's some shortcomings that have happened here, but again, I think, William, I think you need to, if you're understanding mathematics at a level that I can't comprehend, even when you're explaining it, which seems to be the case here, because I'm unable to follow really anything that you've been saying. I've understood the words you've been using, but as soon as you get 2, 3, 4 words deep into each sentence, I'm lost. And it very well could be that I just don't understand what you're saying. I'm not saying that. I don't know for a fact whether or not you've studied this. I don't know what your studies have included. But what I'm saying is that I don't understand anything of what you've said so far, much less been able to put it together in a proof, not even looking at the scientific method off in the distance here. And so, I feel like we're at an impasse here. I don't understand what you're saying, whether or not it's because of my lack of knowledge or Armin's lack of knowledge of mathematics in this case. That may be the case, but that's not relevant. If you can't express your idea in a way that we can understand and have a discussion about it, then we really can't get started. And I think that's what our frustration is here. Do you understand that?
It's possible that William had the proof of God or evidence for God.
It could be. It could be.
And he just
on the
really
delivery or
sucks
something.
Yeah, maybe he's a genius, but really bad at communication.
That could be.